All right, so the topic for today, excuse me, 1 second. Mhm. So as you know that we have events for writing and journaling every 2 weeks, and today's topic is reviewing our financial goals. So um, because we had an event last Wednesday, so this arrangement is slightly unusual. Usually would have our events every 2 weeks, so every second Wednesday we are going to meet at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. Shanghai time and practice our journaling skills, share some tips and discuss. So brief introduction for those who don't know who we are. We are Anastasia and Maria. I'm Maria. Anastasia is, hello, Anastasia is in the chat. You can also say hello to her. She will be hosting the next event. We are educators. We are also soft skill trainers. We run events in Shanghai and not only in Shanghai now. And we all are also authors of 89 Things to Try Out workbook. So I am completely obsessed with journaling and stationery, and Anastasia is obsessed with organizing all kinds of events. All right, so 89 Things to Try Out is our workbook that I guess a lot of you have seen already. So there are multiple ways to use it. First, it is a reflection notebook, so you can use it to reflect on any events that are happening in your life and in your experience. It can be a collection of your inspiration boards, a photo collection, an art journal, a bullet journal, or a planner. You can use it together with your family. You can use it for language learning, and you can collect different sources that would help you to grow as a professional and also as a person. The idea of reviewing our financial goals, which is one of our 89 Things to Try Out, practice number 12. So I'm going to use my workbook when I'm going to reflect on my financial goals. You can also use your 89 workbook or any other workbook, notebook that you have available. So the idea is to set your short-term and long-term financial goals, to think of where you stand in terms of your debt, your expenses and income, and come up with ways how you can achieve your goals in a better way. So today we will set our financial goals, analyze them, and evaluate them. And we're going to do it with the help of certain tasks. So the first task is to list things that you want in life. So every goal, whether it's financial or personal or professional, starts with the question, why do I want to achieve it? So what do I want to have? What do I want to be? So for example, to have an apartment in Shanghai, it is a goal that answers your question, what do you want to have? And to become an illustrator, what do you want to be? So if you're using 89 workbook, you have this section, come up with the ideas of why it is worth trying. So here, I would like you to list 10 things that you want in life, very brief and general. So we're going to have a few minutes for that. Okay, so if you're not done with all the 10, you can continue later. The next step for us is going to be to identify whether all of those goals, all of those ideas of what kind of person you want to be and what you want to have, if that requires your financial investment. For example, having an apartment in Shanghai, it definitely does. But becoming an artist or an illustrator, at some point, it does not. All right, so as you can see, not every goal actually requires financial investment, especially at the start. So we're going to take a few minutes to evaluate our goals. And I guess a lot of you are familiar with the concept of a SMART goal, right? SMART, where the goal has to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So right now, I don't want you to think about the time bound because we are going to come back to that later. So look at every goal that you've underlined, every single one that requires your financial investment, and think whether it is specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and just tick it. Or for example, if it's not specific, you can just write down that it's MAR but not SMAR, right? So try to evaluate your goal and write short notes down whether this goal is smart or it's not. And we'll take a few minutes to do that. Okay, so of course we have listed things that we want, but we should not forget about the things that we need. And now I would like you to examine your situation in terms of your income, your tax situation, your debt or budget or net worth, something that um, can stop you from achieving the goals that you want, or something that would be the goal that you need to achieve before you actually get to focus on what you want. So I'm going to give you a few examples of financial goals that are focusing more on what we need to do rather than what we want to do, right? So making a budget, right? This is our financial goal, to create a budget and live up to it. Pay off debt, especially if you have student debt, if you're from the US, for example. Save an emergency fund. And this is actually the first step that most of consultants, financial advisors recommend to start with, because saving an emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of your income, right, would give you the feeling of security. So you would know that, okay, I have that money, so now I can start for saving something else. So it's, if something happens, if I lose my job or get into an accident and I don't have an insurance, that money would cover my problem. Saving for retirement, something that we don't tend to think about right now, but which is also very important. Managing your income and expenses in the way that you would live under your means, so you would spend less money that you're earning. Developing skills, a new skill that would help you out to create a new income source. Saving for the education of your children, if you have children. Saving for the health improvement, if you know that there is a specific problem that you would like to improve. Or saving down for a house and or an apartment. So choosing from these goals or any other goals that you did not list down because they do not correlate with the person you want to be or things you want to have, but something that you know that you need to do, please list them down as well, so they are also going onto the list of your financial goals. Okay. So if you did not have time to finish writing everything down, I will share these slides later in the group chat. So you would be able to add my WeChat, and I would add you to the group chat where we share all the materials about our workbook and journaling in general. So here's some interesting statistic that actually brings some light into how setting our financial goals can change our attitude about the money. So it is interesting how 35% of people in the US, of Americans, they are scared of the idea of saving for later, for retirement specifically. And also, depending on your age, if you're interested, you can have a look at another statistic of the top lifetime financial goals by age and generation. So I assume that most of us either are people 18 to 40 years old. So this is comfortable independent living and retirement savings, which is not relevant to young people right now. So as you can see that nowadays people feel less focused on the savings and less comfortable with setting long-term financial goals like retirement savings and so on. So in this case, we need to ask ourselves, why. So I would like you to take a minute just to think about it, or reflect, or write a question for yourself. If you have a problem thinking about saving your money for later, why are you scared about it? And if you don't have any problems with that, think about what kind of experience in your life made you be aware of the fact that it's necessary. So for me, for my personal case, I think that it's an idea that I don't really feel right now, and I don't really relate to saving for retirement right now. But I acknowledge that it's completely necessary. So take a minute to just list a few things that either scare you about saving for a retirement or inspire you. And if you are listing things that you inspire you, please share them in the group chat to inspire other people to start thinking about your long-term goals. Okay. Okay, so you can list both things that scare you, things that inspire you, which is my case, for example. Okay, so this is something that that I would like you to think about later. Okay. Here we go. So right now we're going to talk about the time. So we talked about short-term goals and long-term goals, but I believe that it is easier to separate them into three types of categories: short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. So this is something that we're going to do now. So short-term goals are the goals that take under 1 year for you to achieve. Of course, it will depend on your income and other situations that you're facing in your life. So for example, paying off a small debt or buying a new phone, those would be the goals that you could probably achieve under a year. Midterm goals, those that can be achieved right away, but also they would not take that long to achieve. For example, finishing a degree, if you are already in the middle of it, or renovating a house, right? If it's not buying a house, it's just renovating it. And long-term goals in this case would take several years, maybe even 10 or more years to achieve, for example, buying a house or an apartment or saving for your retirement. So have a look at the list of all the goals that you had at the beginning and try to identify their type. So one important thing that I would like to emphasize on is that this may change anytime based on your situation. So if your financial situation suddenly change, maybe short-term goals become mid-term goals, and that's completely fine. Okay. All right. You will be able to continue later. Sometimes while reviewing your goals, you would think that they could be separated into two, right? So one goal, for example, improving your education or health, it can be separated into some short-term goals or long-term goals, right? Depending on specific goals, specific things that you would like to improve. Okay. All right. So after we have identified the time that we need to achieve our goals, the thing that we would need to do is to actually figure out how much money we need for the goal. Of course, we would not be able to do that now for all the goals because some of them are requiring a little bit of research, because we might not know the price for something or the amount of money that it would need. Of course, the number also could change over the time, inflation and other situations that are happening in the world. But take one or two goals that you know the number for and try to separate that amount into a month or a year. So for example, if you know a specific number that you know for your short-term goal, then you would need just to separate that number into 12 months, and you would be able to know how much money you actually need to save to achieve it. So take one or two goals and try to actually come up with a number you need to save monthly. All right, so again, if you are not able to finish now, we don't have that much time. So we are going to ask ourselves the most important question is the ways of achieving our goals. And nobody could answer that question better than us. So what I would like you to do is to think about all the ways that you can reach the goal, right? So even though the goal is related to finance, maybe you don't need money for some of the ways for achieving that goal, right? For example, for you can try to think of relationship that you need to to build or to find, or you need some connections and so on. So try to think of all the ways that you can come up with to achieve that goal. So choose one or two, and if your solutions are only related to finance, those could be saving, cutting expenses, trying to find some extra income, or finding just some additional resources that could help you out. The good number is to write at least 3, but actually, again, from my experience, a lot of advisors on finance, they suggest to list up to 20 ways of achieving each of your financial goals, because it could give you some very good ideas. So for now, let's just take 1, 2 goals and list all the ways of how you can achieve it. All right. If you did not have time to finish, you can finish later. Again, I'm going to share all the slides in the group chat as well as the recording of our meeting today. And the last thing that we would do is to look at our ways that we have listed and try to choose the best way or multiple ways to reach our goal. And that is something that we could consider to focus on when we're planning our budget, our savings, and our financial plan for this year or for the next year. So underline what sounds best to you. Okay, so thank you so much. And again, I will share all the materials in the group chat now, as well as the recording, so you will be able to have a look at the test. And of course, it requires much more time that we have, but I hope that we got a good idea of what questions do we need to ask ourselves when we start planning our finance. So a few announcements in terms of the following events that they're going to happen this month. So the first thing is we're going to have our event on next event on July 29th, and you can scan the QR code and add Anastasia if you want to get more information about the event. So it's going to happen online. All the information, the link to Zoom or other platform that we're going to use, it's going to be again in the group chat, so you can add either me or Anastasia, and we will send you the invitation to the group. So the topic would be setting a morning, improving your morning habits and routine, setting the routine for your morning. And I hope that it's going to be a very useful and an exciting topic for you as well. And another event, another activity that Anastasia would have very soon is the course for kids. So if you have kids, or if you have someone who would be interested to joining the course, the activity where children would learn English and also improve their skills, group work skills, social skills, presentation skills through play and discussion, please scan the QR code at Anastasia and you can ask her all the questions about that. Okay, so if you have any questions, we have a few minutes left. I would like you to list them in the group chat. Or if you need, if you want to get some information about our events or the workbook. If you're interested in ordering our workbook, you can also add my WeChat or Anastasia's WeChat, and we're going to send you the link. Thank you so much. Thank you, and see you on July 29th. Thank you. Bye. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.